Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Today I am talking with my friend Jacob Gay. Jacob studies film and TV at Bath Spa University in the UK. In this episode, we talk a lot about the film industry. In specific, a lot of our conversation revolves around VFX and why Jacob pursues it as a passion. We talk about why Jacob chose to study film and TV as a degree program and the pros and cons that comes with it. But also, we get into character design, character animation. We talk about cartoons, including The Simpsons. We talk about how creativity is a balance between spontaneity and discipline. I, for one, really admire Jacob because it seems like a lot of what he does comes from a place of passion. We then go on to talk about the VFX industry in general, but also I ask him about his future plans and how VFX plays a part in that. As always, don't forget to subscribe and share, and without further ado, here's Jacob Gay. What's been up with you? Just I think just as a starting point, like where are you now? What are you doing?
Right. So I am in Bath in the UK, which is right next to Bristol. People don't know. Uh, Lovely little town, city. I've been studying film and TV for the last 2.5 years, I think now.
Oh.
And I mean, for the entirety of this year, especially during COVID, I've been stuck here by myself well, I was like by myself for the first like 18 weeks, I think, because all my flatmates were like, "Yeah, we're getting the hell out." um, and then so I was there. I've been like home alone for like 16 weeks or so, and then my flatmates came back for like a trip just for a week when everything kind of started slowing down.
Yeah.
Then I went over to visit my parents in France, and then ever since then I've been back here alone again. But I'm back at work now because I work in hospitality at a restaurant. So it's good to be back at work. And they're like, "Oh, can you do more hours?" I'm like, yes, give me please more hours. I
Mm.
need I need to be around people. But yeah,
Wait,
that's like kind of been what I've been up to.
just to be clear, do your parents live in France now, or are they?
So my mum lives in France at the moment. Yeah, like full time. My dad is basically on a contract where he goes to work in Qatar for a month and then goes and stays in France for a month and kind of just
Oh,
like
okay.
he gets like a 1 month off, 1 month like full on. But he hasn't been able to do that because of COVID. But the funny thing is, today he actually flies back to Qatar for the first time in like 5 months or so.
And then he's
So
gonna have to quarantine, isn't he, for 7 days?
yeah, he's gonna have to quarantine. They're gonna do some stuff with his nose. Apparently, they're gonna like scrub stuff up his nose to make sure he's been. But yeah, so they're just gonna take him straight there, and they have their own quarantine facilities there. So
Mm.
they're gonna just deal with it because they've been very they classed him as like what's the word I'm thinking of? It's like specialized personnel. So they're like,
Mm.
he's getting on not no private plane, obviously, but they're like pushing him through. Like you're going through all the passport stuff, cleared you. You're getting as soon as you get there, you're going straight to the like quarantine zone. Because he had to. The reason why he couldn't go back was because he didn't have his passport expired, so he had to wait for a new passport, and that took way longer than expected. I mean, mine only took like 2 or 3 weeks to get to me, and his took like 2 months. I was like,
Mm.
that's interesting. But yeah, no, he's going back now. He's kind of. I was kind of like, oh, you're gonna miss mom, and he went, so I've had enough of that bloody woman. Now I want to get back to work.
Just like, all right, then, what can you say to that?
Yeah.
Well, all throughout like you said, you've been just in your apartment in Bath, right?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you have a house? I mean,
yeah.
funny
It's a
question, but do
it's
you
a
have a house?
house because there's not a lot of like. It's funny. There's not a lot of buildings in Bath, as in like there's no skyscrapers or like taller buildings or apartment blocks. It's mostly just like lowered housing and stuff,
Mm.
which I kind of like because it's very pretty. But yeah, I live in a house, but it's annoying because my room that I'm in now is right at the front of the house on the bottom floor, and
Mm.
we literally live outside a bus stop, so the bus constantly just stops. People leaning on my window all the time, and I've had to like especially at 2 o'clock, I gotta get out there. But yeah, no, it's but I got a good room and it's a good deal as well. It's like not as expensive because Bath is, I believe, is like second like most expensive place for students to live in.
Mm.
So I think with that said, I got not too bad deal for this house.
I All right, thank you for telling me that. I kind of meant, I think. I'm sorry I wasn't clear, but like,
Uh,
does your family not like own a house, or is it?
oh, right. No. They not in the UK. It's too expensive. So
Oh,
like
okay.
France is very much cheaper.
It's just on the other side of the channel
Yeah, I mean you could probably swim it on a good day.
on a good day. Not
Uh,
being any of the past few months, apparently.
yeah, no, it's been hard. It's funny because when I went over there, it was actually pretty easy getting into France. Like I just walked through the passport. They're like, "You coming to see family?" It's like, "Yeah." Like, okay, they just let me through.
Well, you didn't
And
have
then
to show any proof.
like, yeah, no, it literally was just a pass. It was like basically I was traveling normally. But then when I came back to the UK, they were questioning like my like citizenship and stuff. They're like, "Why were you in France?" I was like, "Oh, my family lives there." "Oh, so you're not British?" I'm like, "No, I'm British. We got British passport. Says I'm from Britain." They're like, "Yeah, but why are you going to France?" "Because my family just happened to live there." And they go, "Yeah, but were you born here?" "Yes, I was born here."
Hmm.
Like it was so annoying. I was like, there. I was like, they're like, "Where are you gonna? Are you? What was it? When's the next time you're gonna leave the UK?" And I'm like, "I don't know because I live here and I don't know when the next time I want to like leave." They're like, "Are you gonna go anywhere in the next 14 days?" I was like, "No, I want to go home." It's like, "Well, where are you going?" It's like, "Well, I'm supposed to be in Bath in like, well, my bus leaves in 30 minutes, but I might not be there in fact because you keep calling me up."
Oh, the
Like,
sass.
they're like they were keeping me on for so long, and it's like it was so annoying. And it's not the first time they've done that because I remember when I was 15, um, I went to the UK to visit my uncle, and because I was coming from Qatar, they looked at my passport, looked at me, a 15-year-old by myself, and they were like, could you like step aside, please?" So it means this like interrogation room, and basically we're asking questions about like my citizenship. I'm like, "Why are you living in Qatar? What was your dad do?" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "He's a logistics manager. I don't know. I just live there." And they're like, "Well, you know, there's a lot of like terrorism going around." And so I was like, "I'm not a
Oh,
terrorist. I'm British. I swear."
I've never heard of like, I mean, yeah, no, not trying to be offensive or anything, but like you hear these sort of things happening, like happening to like brown guys, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I wouldn't expect it to happen to you,
yeah,
especially
exactly.
someone that's 15, bro.
Yeah, I know. I was like, they were like, because there's basically the whole thing was because a lot of like British kids like going over. I think during that time it was like going over to like fight for ISIS and stuff, and they're all like really young and stuff. And so I feel like they were being cautious, but at the same time, I was like, I just want to see my uncle, and they're like telling me, "Well, what does your uncle do?" And I'm like, "Well, you should. He's outside the airport. You can go ask him." Like I don't know what he does. He like does like he builds kitchens or some shit. I don't know.
All
But yeah.
right, all right, okay. I wanna explore a bit more about how has uni been like for you. But just to be clear, how long did you stay in Doha? Like number of years?
17, I believe.
Oh,
16 to 17 years.
so did you move there whilst you were young?
Yeah, so I moved to Qatar when, well, I was born, and then like as soon as I was healthy enough to get on a plane, they were like, "Right, we're shipping you off." Nah, they were like, it was yeah, 3 weeks after I was born, I moved there, and then when I was around 2, we moved back to the UK for like a year, and then we then came back to Qatar. Actually, it wasn't a year; it was like a couple of months. Came back to Qatar. Um, lived there until I was like 10, I'd say. Then I moved to Singapore for just over a year as well, and
Oh,
then came
I didn't know
back.
that.
Yeah, that's when I came. I don't know what year did you start Dole College again,
Uh,
or
preschool.
preschool? I think yeah. Well, I just showed up in like year 7 because and like there's like people from DES and then there's people from DC and they kind of like merged together. Um,
Yeah.
and I was like one of the DES people. So all the DES people recognized me, but none of the DC people recognized me. And people were just like, "Oh, so how does everybody know you?" It's like I used to go to DES, but like
Mm.
that was before I moved to Singapore. But when it comes to when it's coming to uni, uni's fine. It's like it's a bit slow, and I understood that in the first year. I was like, it's gonna be slow. Well, they're teaching you stuff like from year 10 media studies, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then I got into second year and I'm like, yes, I'm on it. Like, it's gonna be amazing. And it was just still very slow. And I was like, they're like, why? Like, they're like, oh, you can rent out our cameras at the uni. And I'm like, nah, I don't think I will, just because their cameras are, uh, they have the like Mark ones of the C100s, but they're like made in
Mm.
2009. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of like, me being like the tech camera person, I'm like, no, it won't do. I'll just use my own
Yeah.
camera. And they get annoyed by it because they're like, we want you to use our cameras. We spent money on these. And I'm like, yeah, but they're still crap. um,
Are you still using your GH5 or have you upgraded?
so, so since we last saw me, so I a GH5, and then I got a okay, so GH5, and I also got with the GH5 a 60 Mark II. And when I came to
Ah,
uni,
bro.
I sold my GH5, got a 5D Mark IV, and
Oof.
then I sold both my 5D Mark IV and 60 Mark II for a 1DX Mark II, and then I got rid of my 1DX Mark II uh back in, must have been November now, and uh and then I got the GH5S. So I've kind of just like gone a full circle
Yeah.
through Panasonic into Canon and back into Panasonic again. And don't get me wrong, I loved Canon. The 1DX Mark II was like out of all my cameras that I've owned, my favorite camera of all time. Everybody complains it's big and heavy, but I kind of liked it because it just meant like I had a firm grip, and like it was good if you have like shakes, because you're not actually shaking when you're holding the camera because it's so heavy. You're like fully
Yeah.
intense on it. But I think it was so expensive as well. I got it because it's for a brand new one. It's like 5 grand, but I managed to get it down to like 2.3 grand. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I just thought to myself, like, after I did a job in the US for 3 months using that camera, I was like, I love it, but I can't justify why I have it. Like, I can't justify the need to have this such an expensive camera. And the
Mm.
GH5S, I managed to sell the 1DX Mark II on a profit, so I sold it for like three
Oof.
grand, and the GH5S is like just above a grand. So I was like, well, I'm gonna make that's a profit. That's a grand profit
Yeah.
right there. So
Yeah.
I just didn't. I loved it, but I didn't see the reason to have it. So
But it's interesting that you went through so many iterations of what sort of camera you wanted. But I mean, none of them seem to be like completely film cameras, though. Like I would have expected maybe like a Black Magic there or something.
yeah, I mean when they went through, that's why I had the two cameras, the GH5 and the 60 Mark II, because I was trying to do both photography and film.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, 60 Mark II was an amazing photography camera. Um, and it was one of my favorite Canon cameras I owned. The 5D Mark IV, yeah, I got it for film, and I realized that it wasn't actually that great for film. So I just, so I was like, okay, 1DX Mark II is like a film and photography camera. It's a beast for both. I might as well do like get the best of both worlds. Then I just stopped doing really photography. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go mainly into film. Funny enough, I was like, oh, I got a really good phone camera, so might as well use it. But it broke like a, nearly a year ago now, so I can't even take photos of it. Like, it's so annoying.
Oh, well,
Um,
wait, is that the GH5? No, it's not the
uh,
GH5, is it?
well, no, for the phone, I got Pixel 2, and
Oh,
it literally, I'm not even kidding. I can like show you now. Um, 1 second. If you try to launch the camera app, this is me launching the camera app. It just stays black, and then give it a sec,
beautiful.
wait, and then if you take a photo, like I just did, it crashes.
Wow, wow.
So it's really annoying. But yeah, GH5S is like the upgraded version of the GH5, and it's one of the best film cameras I've ever used. It's got everything you ever need. There's like
Mm.
240 frames in full HD. It's like
Oh,
you can't go wrong with it. You
bro.
can't go wrong with it. Um,
Uh, for what it's worth, mad props. So, like there's
yeah.
so I mean, there's so much that we can talk about gear. I mean, but there's always the argument to like, gear is only so much, and
Hmm.
technique and planning is everything else.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I guess I wanted to ask you like, you obviously know that I have an interest in film and media as well, but I kind of took a different path. I think one of the reasons that I did is because, what you kind of painted out in the first. I kind of had an idea that it would probably be slow for a year or two. Is like, and maybe I just didn't have the patience for that. So like,
Yeah.
I think you knew that as well. It seems like going in. So kind of what sort of still made you decide to go along that path? Which I mean, it seems. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, just what made you choose that path? Well, and
Um,
knowing that it's gonna be, test your patience for a while.
I think it's because the good thing about university that I would give it credit for is that there's a lot of like when I went into university, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. It's like, yeah, I want to be a director, but also want to be editing, and I also want to be camera. But I wanted to find out what I actually really wanted. It turns out I actually kind of want to be a VFX like artist in a sense because I've been
Oh
doing a lot of stuff with VFX, 3D modeling. I mean, I did used to do it when I was younger, but it's only now where I've like gone, yeah, let's
yeah.
do it. And it's basically allowed the university has allowed me to kind of go in one direction, and then halfway through go, all right, now I actually want to go in like this direction. And um, I'm still doing film, but like I'm in my third year now, and what they'll let you do is like it's TV and film, and we've always had to do TV and film. But third year they're going, all right, you either choose TV or you choose film. And people go, why didn't you choose TV? And the best way I can explain it, especially not so much in the US. The US is not too bad for it, but in the UK, if you, it's like for example, it's like for a film, you go, I want to blow up a car. Can
Mm.
I do that? They'll go, we'll get the paperwork done, we'll get the insurance, we'll make it happen. You go to TV, for example, the BBC, you go to them, you go like, I want to blow up a car. Can we do that? They'll go, we could do it in 2 years' time. And you go, why? Why? It's like, because the paperwork will be too much. It's not even worth doing. We'll just do like special like effects, and you go, well, the budget won't be high enough for special effects. I'm like, yeah, we don't care. Like, it's just like there's so many limitations in TV. It's like what you can show and what you can't show. While for film, it's like there's no real technical limit to what you could. I mean, there is, but like
Mm.
you can go artistic. You can go more. That's the thing I feel like also that's changed since going to uni. When I first started, I was more on the idea that I wanted to go in it as a because I wanted to do it as my job. But now I've actually started thinking more of it as an art, as in a sense that before I'd be like, I know how to make the film, I know the basics, I know like how to do these stuff, and these are the rules of the art. But now I'm kind of going like throw these rules in the air, let's see what happens. Make something that's the best thing you want to make, like express yourself, not cater to an audience. Or I mean, you
Mm.
can do that and you'll make money probably through that, but like
Mm.
I want to go more into the artistic. That's why I go for VFX, because I'm making a film with a group of like 7 or 8 people, and we'll do a shot and they go, all right, yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. And I'm like, no, the shot's not perfect enough. And it's like, yeah, if it's one shot, what's it gonna do? And I get like, I'm like, no, it's not what I want. It's not, I feel like a whiny little like bratty
Mm.
princess filming, so it's like,
No,
it's
no,
not what I want.
no. But I get what you mean. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of don't have that ability to bridge that gap between seeing a movie but then appreciating it as a form of art.
Yeah,
Um, which is why I think the best movies, what they are forms of art, and like everything that goes into it, whether it be the story or the directing or the acting, it all serves to um, it all serves towards a single purpose, whatever that may be, towards a theme or towards a story.
yeah.
Um, I think it's interesting because VFX obviously can be one of the components that go towards that, um, and I think what I can tell is like VFX is art. I mean, the title is VFX artist.
Yeah.
Um, so what kind of drew you towards VFX over all the other things?
It's actually kind of funny because I got drawn. What's the word? I got drawn into it before when I was younger, just because I
For
don't know. I found
Farid.
it interest. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Farad was more on the yeah. He was more on the sense of like After Effects and stuff. But I'm using like software like Blender and doing
Yeah.
3D and artist more like I've kind of gone from I was doing photorealism about a couple of months ago, and now I'm going into more like abstract art.
How many
And
computers have you killed through rendering?
I mean, I did brick the computer I'm using now. I did brick it like 3 months ago, trying to render water. Um, that
Always a
was not.
mistake.
Yeah, it's because you're supposed to render using your GPU, and I didn't switch it to the GPU settings. I only had it on CPU, so my CPU just went, yeah, no, bro, and just turned the computer off. But no, I bought a second graphics card not too long ago. Just not because like I know that people go, you don't need a second graphics card because video games can't take in the SLI because, and I'm like, it's not for video games, it's not. And like I have a good enough graphics card not for video games. I just need it for like if with rendering, it's like the more graphics cards you have, the faster it will do it because it has more operations that it can process. But no, doing special VFX recently, funny enough, is because I got Disney Plus when it came out in the UK, and they had Toy Story 4 on it, and I was watching Toy Story 4, and I was like really, really, really impressed by two things. Was one, it was like the little like fingerprints and the scratches on like the helmet of like Buzz Lightyear and the hat, like
Yeah.
and Woody's hat and stuff. And then I watched a video where it was talking about the cat compared to like there's a dog, sorry, in the first Toy Story and the cat in the Toy Story 4. And I was so impressed by like the improvement. And then I started watching all like because they have all those Pixar short films on there. And I was
Yeah.
watching all of them and I was like, how amazing these guys like the company Pixar allows like people to make their own little short films in the company, and they get to do all this stuff, and it gave me like this whole like, man, I want like that. If I made that, if I learned how to make that, I'd be so proud and impressed myself. I make films all the time, and people say they're great, but then I just look back at them and you go like, I wish I could have done better, or I wish like it's not exactly the way I wanted it. But then if you look on VFX and you see these pieces, and I'm not gonna lie, every piece I put on Instagram now, and I look at it, I go, actually, I'm happy with what I did. There's like no imperfections, because if there were imperfections, I can literally open up the file, redo it the way I want to do it, and then render it again. It's easy as that. With a film, you have to get like people to come in and they're like, oh, I don't want to film this today, and you're like, right. Yeah.
In terms of the industry, there's certain different ways you can approach, even being a VFX artist, right? I mean, there are the ones that kind of just, they do the grunt work, and those go probably unnoticed. But what it seems like you sort of want to be more towards is like the ones that supervise it and actually have like a creative vision that you are able to implement.
Yeah. It was a great. I saw a great video about this guy who's working with DreamWorks, as a young, as like a apprenticeship in a way. And he said what they did to help DreamWorks basically, and what I actually love about VFX is it's not, if you go into that industry, it's not like you get in the job and you are expected to like know exactly what you're doing. Like most people go into VFX companies because there's so many different softwares they use. No one knows what they're actually doing, right? So they actually, for the first year and a half, they teach you, like they have an entire course.
Hello?
And
sorry,
teach you how they use the software and how
Hello?
So
sorry, you cut off for a bit.
Oh, sorry about that. I just heard a fan in my headphones. So I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
But
you said they have a course for the first year and a half where they teach you.
Yeah, where they teach you, and I mean, most companies do. It's not all, but most, because there's like higher tier companies, but most of them actually do this. But what's also good is that this guy was talking about how when he was at DreamWorks, like for the first year as an apprenticeship kind of thing, they would let him like take assets that the modelers, like who people actually model and stuff, they had all the assets on this library, and the new people were allowed to just grab things from the assets and make their own scenes for the film, like as like test shots and stuff. And so you had like all the assets from like How to Train Your Dragon 3, like all the characters and stuff. And I was like,
so
that's
cool.
amazing. and they were like allowed to, basically they would present a scene to them as if it was a part of the film. And this guy did this amazing scene of the villain monologue where he meets Hiccup for the first time in the house, and he does a scene and he's like. The guy says his lecture or whatever. It was like it's amazing, but it's a bit dark for a kids' film because he had it where he had like the dragon's he had like dragon's blood on his finger and he like licked it or something. But it was still great. It's still great. But he was talking about how like there's different people like in control of different things. So like color scheme, like if like someone's job, people get paid like a lot of money just to tell you what the color scheme is. And it's like a can't remember what's cool, but Adobe has a website where it's just all different types of color schemes that people uploaded. It's like the 5 different colors in a scene that are like the main, which make a scene work. So if you have in a garden, you've got like a few shades of green, maybe brown, and then maybe blue, because obviously the sky. But it's like basically you have whatever it is that if you want a really good color setup in a scene. And it's great to use in film as well. And this has helped me with film, especially, is that when you film a scene, you want really 5 main colors. 3 of them are similar to each other in a gradient, and then 2 completely separate ones. It just apparently it makes the scene just more beautiful. There's like lots of things like that I'm really interested in now, and I've like it's really amazing to study how like light works and how like when you're doing a VFX you'll learn about like ray tracing and stuff. And I'm like can't wrap my head around that, but it's just really interesting to know all this can be done on like a computer. It's like for now it's like I want to blow up a car for my film. No, we can't do that. Okay, I'll just do it on my computer then. Like, it's kind of just that simple.
I think the like usual stereotype though is for people that work in the VFX industry is that they are. I mean, I understand that it sounds awesome, right? Like I'm someone that really appreciates the work that VFX artists do, but I guess the stereotype is that they kind of work very long hours, but at the same time the budget doesn't treat them probably to a fair extent in terms of how much they're actually paid. So have you thought anything about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to before when I was saying about like I've decided to go more an artistic route than more in a career route, where it's like before it was like, yeah, I'll be a director, I'll be maybe successful, I might make quite a bit of money for it. Like, we all have that. Yeah, I know people will say like, oh, I don't do it for the money, and that's fine, but at the end of the day you need money, right? But for me, it's like, yeah, I know I do enjoy like getting paid and stuff at the end of the day, but it's like for the first time in my life I'm more thinking about like money's second for me, as in for enjoyment reasons, and my main source of like enjoyment out of anything is just creating art. And like one thing, and I think this is what's also kind of been a blessing and a curse of COVID, is that because I've got literally nothing else to do in the house by myself, I've been constantly just learning, doing VFX. Like I have all the free time in the world to just focus on this. And I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I have on Blender now, but I'll say this: I was looking at a bunch of people's like what do you call them? Like show reels, like for the year, right? Literally the entirety of 1 year, and they're really good. Don't get me wrong; they're really good pieces. But there's like only 5 to 6 clips in it. But then I looked at my show reel for I think April, which is on my YouTube channel, and I've got like so many different projects, and then I did one for May as well, and I've got so many more clips and pieces and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, I was like thinking to myself, like, I'm not necessarily doing as good a job as them, or like some of the stuff I've seen, I feel like my stuff is as good or better. Some of the stuff I go, wow, okay, that's amazing, but you need a time and focus for that. But I'm like, but the main important thing is, these guys have spent a year on this. The fact that I've managed to do so much more in the next few months, if I want to go into a career, I've kind of like managed in the last couple of months to push myself into experience, like just by like skipping the yearly process of doing these things. I'd say if I want to get more specific into it, where I want to be, I'm more into actually not so much character or character or physics design, because it's a very tedious and not very fulfilling process.
Hmm.
If you do it right, it feels great. But if you're doing it and you like spend like I spent 90 hours on a character I was trying to make, and I got to like the 90-hour mark, and I was like, this is not gonna work. I'm gonna scrap
Was,
this.
was this modeling or animating?
This is modeling, yeah. Um, and even animating is annoying, but I actually enjoy animating a bit more. Uh, but I'm more into the environmental design. So I like
The
making
set.
scenes, yeah, sets for VFX. Like I make lots of like streets or a garden or like maybe a coffee shop and stuff like that. And I've only now started to get into more animated stuff like physics physics renders. And I mean, I still can't get my head around smoke. I've been trying to create smoke for so long, and it just either it kills my computer or it's gonna take a week to render. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. And it's really hard to control smoke as well. Water's not too bad.
Mm.
It just takes a long time. It's just smoke is the worst thing to try and render.
Have you
Um,
heard of Octane? I heard that that's
yeah,
pretty good.
Octane is a great software for flame simulations. The only problem is it's flame simulations, and then everything else is kind of like it's okay, but it's like not
Mm.
compared to thing about Blender is Blender's going through a transformation where it's a free software, and it's always been kind of considered like, oh, it's the go-to like simple free basic software, but it's now becoming like recommended as one of the highest like used softwares, and now professional companies are using it because obviously it's free, but also it's actually compatible with um other uh softwares like Maya and all that, Cinema
Mm.
4D. I mean, it recently, so like around I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, they allowed real-time rendering through Eevee, which was
Yeah.
just unbelievable for free software. But now with 2.9 that's just released a few months ago, they've like basically said we've redone this so the software is more stable. The software is also like won't blow up your computer. Basically, you can run like you could do cloth simulations like simultaneously. It's amazing watching like because before if you ran a cloth simulation, it just slowly like drop by frame by frame by frame. But if you go to real time rendering now, you do a cloth simulation, it'll be continuous in 24 frames per second. I'm like, this
Mm.
is beautiful. It's like
Wait, I want to go back to what is it? What do you think it is that you are more that set that scenes appeal to you more and the scene design rather than I think the conventional would be to design a character or to like animate a scene.
mhm.
So what is it that you think that appeals to you about that?
I think it's actually quite interesting because like I said when I first started, I was trying to focus on photorealism because I thought it was really beautiful to see something like something that someone's made that's photoreal.
Mm.
And I when I was looking at that, I was watching a video about it when it came to environments. And this guy had made a coffee shop, and it was the most like photorealistic fucking coffee shop ever. And he just basically goes like, "Why does this look so real?" He says it's almost perfect. And he goes, well, the thing is the key is not perfect. That's what something is when it's photorealistic. It's actually there's so many imperfections that it's pretty much real.
Well,
Like
what was it referring to? Sorry, in the coffee shop.
so like little things like a little stain on the coffee mug, or a little maybe like there's a napkin that's unfolded or creased improperly, scratches on the top, uh, reflections and lighting, and even things like volumetrics, which is like with cloud and how lighting passes through like mist and stuff. And it's just um,
Mm.
all these things like combined together by themselves, it looks terrible. It doesn't look real. If you put all these imperfections together, it looks real. And then if you are too perfect, you get into the uncanny valley where
Yeah.
it's too real. It's too, and that's the thing where that's why, not gonna lie, this is why I hate character designing or character animation, not animation, but just character design in general. Is just I prefer to go cartoony, and cartoony is fun to do because it's simple. It's you don't have to worry about things. But it's like if you're trying to make a photorealistic person or something, it's like good
Yeah.
luck. You're never gonna do it because not even like the
Mm.
most expensive or like the highest budget VFX team can make a super photorealistic person.
I mean, they've gotten really good at it though recently. I mean, there
Yeah.
are some scenes like some recent movies where you cannot even tell that
Mhm.
it's VFX.
Yeah, there's like it was like in that film Logan
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
he's cloned and it's like pretty much almost perfect. Um and I mean that's kind of it's because it's getting to a point now. Like one of the I always like to say one of the best VFX I've ever seen is Thanos from Avengers Infinity War. And its reason why is that when you zoom into his face, right, or if you look on his face, the imperfections, like the creases and the what do you call it, like
The dimples.
the dimples and
Yeah.
the little hairs, because we all have little hairs on our face that we can't really see, but if you look really close, we have these little hairs, and you can just see all of this. And I'm like, this is insane. And the way his face moves, the muscles are perfect, and that was a shame when I watched. I remember watching the Lion King remake in cinemas, and it was such a shame because the VFX is unbelievable, but it's like
It's
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 kind of wasted on it, if you know what I mean.
yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. It's like they didn't
And,
stop to think whether this was the best way to do it.
yeah, exactly. And that was also like the annoying thing is like with cartoons, the reason why cartoons are cartoons and why they're so like people love them is because everything is exaggerated, like the character portion, like body portions and their eyes and their hair, it's all exaggerated, but it makes when we watch it, there's a psychology behind it. I'm not sure what it's called, but there's just a reason why we're drawn to these characters. um And the thing is, if you try to put realism, it gets very weird. So you have bits in the game, it's photorealistic, like pretty much like real animals, but they're singing and they're trying to smile and they're trying to like laugh and stuff. And it just looks very, very odd. And it's the same thing why I've always said this to people. People are like, oh, I really wish that like would make like a really good anime adaptation, for example. And I'm like, there's a reason why anime adaptations like don't really work, and it's because a translation, like if you watch an anime show, it's they're all insane. They all are absolutely insane. If you translated all that insanity into the real world, it would never look good. It's just
Yeah.
like on paper, literally on paper, when you're animating, like having someone fly through the air like a ninja or like zipping around and stuff, it looks cool. You do it in real life, it looks stupid and weird.
Mm.
So
One
it's go on.
one of the things when it comes to VFX and like anime in particular is that like one of the things that makes the art form what it is the limitations that come with it. And
Hmm.
anime, there's so many limitations, but that's what makes part of it is what makes it anime. And
Yeah.
when you try and translate that to something which doesn't really have those limitations, like real life, uh, it's like a half baked product that doesn't taste good.
Yeah, exactly that, exactly that. I saw like, oh, what was it? It was like someone had photoshopped all like the Disney princesses or Disney like characters into like real life people, and it looks
I
so.
think I think I'll still be okay with that for some reason.
I, I mean, yeah, it looked fine, but it was like it's very. No, it wasn't that. It was no, it was that they sorry they photoshopped. It wasn't the real people. They photoshopped Disney characters so that they all had real human proportions, and they looked so weird. So they had like the what's his name, the boy from Coco, um, and he
uh,
and he made him
yeah.
like real proportioned, and it was so strange and ugly, and I was like, ugh, it gives me creeps kind of. That's like the whole point. It's like if you saw yourself in a, what I always like to see is like if you see yourself in an animated style, like someone drew you, in any type of style, you'd be kind of impressed. You'd actually kind of find yourself more attractive, I can imagine, because like it's just how it is with the animation and stuff. It's like um there's always like The Simpsons as well. Every sometimes they have guest animators with like the theme song bit where they all sat on the
Mm.
sofa, and it's like all the different styles and stuff is what makes it work. You're not watching it necessarily because oh, I mean, you'd be watching it because you like the story, but the reason why you're so attached to characters is because they're so recognizable because of their character features. Like everybody knows Homer Simpson, for example. He's just a simple round head, yellow big eyes, right? But if
Yeah.
you gave him real proportions, they'd be very unfamiliar and very kind of disturbing, and people wouldn't be attached to something like that. And it's all about like also like what I found interesting is character design. There's like rules about it, like how you should draw it, because some people there's a guy on YouTube who does videos where he gets people's like like mail, like fan mail, where they send him their character designs they come up with, and he basically goes, "All right, I'm gonna modify your character design so that it actually looks good." As in, it's not that it's not a bad idea. It's just that a character needs to stand out. It needs to have some aspects about it to make the character more memorable, and so people make these amazing character designs, but they got the wrong color scheme, the wrong body shapes. Like the best and most famous and successful animated characters in all of the animation have always had unique and very profound structures and colors. I mean, top of
But
my
that's kind of like, I mean, that's a bit contradictory, because I guess like you say like the best ones are the most unique, but yeah, I think what they did is that they like went out of the box, and they did break the rules of what was conventional at that time. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
to say that, but then also to say, you got to follow rules is a bit, yeah. How do you square that?
So it would be like not necessarily rules. It's just that uh I'd say, for example, when it comes to body shape, they were saying about how the head should be really massive, unless the character is designed so it is purposely having a small head. But they should have massive heads, large eyes, um, quite a small, like really small, either like mid body or waist, and then either really like long or slim legs, or very short legs and wide legs. It's like if it's short, it should be wide. If it's tall, it should be skinny. It's like it's all these things that I mean. It's when you look down the structure of a character. If you look at its basic shapes, you always find that characters that are like uh triangle, then a little circle, then a triangle again will do better than like a slight rectangle, little circle, slight rectangle. It's like also color schemes as well. Bright primary colors tend to be more attractive to people like watching. So if you have a character who is wearing a bright yellow shirt and then has a as like a well, like a yeah shirt, and then like a undervest that's also yellow, and then also had like a slightly different colored yellow sunglasses, for example, wouldn't be as visually interesting compared to someone who's wearing a bright yellow shirt, blue undershirt, and red glasses. So it's
Mm.
like characters like SpongeBob, I can think of off the top of my head, like big square. He's just a square, but he's yellow. He's got so he's already like people can already recognize him from his color. He's got a unique and defined costume, and
Mm.
he's the most simplest design ever. But he managed to be incredibly successful as a character. Um, but we can also think of characters. I didn't find it in a lot of like people on YouTube who make animations, and they make great and talented animations, but the reason why the characters don't stick with people can be literally just because of the way they've been designed or the color. It's literally it's weird because we don't really realize it, but it's all happening mentally. As
Mm.
we can't tell if we like something or not like something in the back of our heads. It's like, for example, uh, why is The Simpsons so recognizable and iconic? Why is I know Adventure? Why is Jake the Dog from Adventure Time so recognizable? Why is
Mm.
um like all these animated characters, even like uh shows like Futurama, for example. If you look at the most like everybody knows Bender, um
Mm.
more out of anyone else in the show, and like even people who don't watch the show can recognize Bender. It's reason it's because probably because Bender is the most uniquely designed character in that show. He's like a
Mm.
robot, but he's shaped like really strangely for a robot, and the proportions are so oddly defined. But
I think
yeah,
Yeah, I think like I'm more of the school of thought that if you want to design something, what you have to do is you have to kind of have the clarity of vision to begin of to begin with knowing, what kind of feeling you want the audience to get. And I think that's one of the main reasons why, like, your example of Simpsons works so well, because it is a ridiculous show, so it follows that the character design will be just as, or if not as ridiculous as what the show creators want to get across. And I think that's probably something that can, you can translate that to all sorts of different things. It's like everything has to be unified in terms of the vision of the director, I guess.
Yeah. No, most definitely. Yeah, and like, as to say, that's not all character designs. Like, for example, like SpongeBob and Simpsons are completely different art styles, completely
Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
vibes. I think it's just all of like there's also like what was it the other show I was thinking of? There was another show that the guy
Rick
who
and Morty.
I mean, yeah,
No.
there's Rick and Morty.
No.
Rick and Morty has their own art style, but like, look at Rick. Rick does not look like, in my opinion, like does not really look like a real old man in the sense that he's got blue spiky hair, looks grey, it is, and wears a lab coat all the time. Where you have Morty just wears a yellow shirt. Uh, it has basic brown hair. Morty's one of those situations where it's kind of the opposite. Like even though he's got bright different colors, he's very recognizable. But
Yeah.
I feel like people would actually recognize Rick more because of
Yeah.
how ridiculous he looks like in the animation sense, and he sticks out like a sore thumb compared to the other family members because of how he looks, basically. And I'd say, yeah, it's definitely also like that's not only down to the creative direction of the director, but it's also when you're animating, everything has to have a purpose or a reason. Everything
Yeah.
kind of has to have a meaning behind it. It's like what's that famous Alfred Hitchcock quote when he goes like, "If you don't, what was it? If you don't use something
Oh,
first act."
it's like if I see a hammer, I think in the first scene, then you better use it by the end of the movie or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. So it's kind of like you wanna like character designs should be based on their personalities as well. You know, um, you don't have to follow any rules, but and it doesn't necessarily mean if he's that shape, he must be this character. But maybe give him a reason why, if he is that shape, give him
Yeah.
more to it than just I just like the design to it. Like,
But it can't be after the fact either. It can't be like, okay, we've done it this way. Now
mhm.
we have to think of a reason. It has to be the other way around.
Yeah. You have to have a reason, and design the character on the reason.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I want to go back a bit. Like, all right, we talked a bit about character design. What is it about? I think I asked you this question, but what is it about designing a scene that appeals to you?
um, it's just I don't know what it is. It's like I feel like the joy and the overall like the overall feeling I get when I complete something that is a long-term project. It makes me feel happy about myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I look back on my work and I go, man, I can't believe I managed to I managed to design this, right? And it's not and I know it sounds very much like I'm bigging up my own like I blow my own horn here or anything. Um and it's not that because I am very critical of my own work because I always find a problem in people's, not even anyone's work, my work personally. I always find criticism, and it's one of those things. Is like when people criticize me, I'm like, that's fine, I don't mind. But when I criticize myself, it really affects me a lot. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But when I actually do this environmental stuff and I enjoy it because I feel like I was always like I was a big fan of like playing Lego, like building stuff and making things. And Blender gives me this opportunity to like literally play Lego but on a realistic standard.
Yeah.
And I build this thing. One of my most it's not actually like people saw on Instagram and went like, okay, that's cool, but like that's it. But it's one of my proudest products I've ever produced, and it's an alley like a street alley, like some cyberpunk themed back alley. Like there's like a bar. There's a
Mm.
bunch of neon signs, and it's like really rainy. There's a fence and pipes everywhere and wires, and it's like all the details. Like I look back on it, like oh I remember when I was designing those barrels in the back corner there, and I remember when I designed this dumpster that's like halfway out the shop.
Mm.
I remember like doing the lighting on that window there, and it's like all these things I find enjoyment like looking back and going, and then even then I still criticize the work, but it's not in a sense that like I don't like this, I don't like this. I go, oh I could go back and do and add this to that detail, or I could go back and do that and that. it's always like it's always a way to fix your work without completely like destroying your like mental uh
Yeah,
process on doing it.
I
Because
think
if you
it's
make
a
a if you make a mistake on film, you feel horrible and you don't even feel bothered on completing the film anymore because you're like, oh, so, I'd already
mm.
done it, kind of thing. Um, but
But
yeah,
with
go on.
yeah, with something like that, it's a healthy kind of improvement. Like I feel that way as well whenever I kind of like approach a creative project as well. It's like it's not like you're beating yourself up about it. You're like acknowledging the fact like now, if anything, you should be happy about it because like now I acknowledge that there's a way I could have done that better.
Yeah,
And I think that really benefits from the fact that you do so much, like what you said, like just the sheer volume of what you're. Well, it sounds like the sheer volume of what you're doing is really um, benefiting from that. So I want to ask you, like, to me, it sounds like your measure of success when it comes to at the end of a project, like the street alley you said, is it on one camp you can say like the more photoreal it is, the more successful it is. But I guess I think we can kind of come to a point where we think that if it successfully gets across what you were trying for it to get across, is that the sort of way you look at it in terms of how happy you are with it?
yeah, no, most definitely, yeah. I like that's the thing when I set out to be more photorealistic. What I discovered is if you want photorealism, don't go. You can't really go out and expect to make something photorealistic because it's very difficult to do, and it's not that it's difficult. It's not even worth it. But what you can do is you can choose artistic liberties to make your work seem more photorealistic and more, but even have an artistic sense to it. Like nothing in that scene that I made, nothing in that scene makes any sense in reality. Like the ventilation is in a weird position as in like on the side of the building. There's like the pipe. Some of the pipes are exact same models. I've just cloned them and put them somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like the street for some reason I couldn't find a good street texture I liked, and I had to just stick to brick. And I'm like, this is the future. Why are we still using brick roads and
Yeah.
alleyways? Makes no sense. And also like one of the signs is in English, but some of the signs is in Chinese. So I'm like, what was the? I mean, I guess like in most like Blade Runner and stuff, they have that because it's
Yeah.
multicultural. But it's like different all these different things that don't really make any sense, and when I would not count as realistic. But it's the whole artistic vibe that I was getting, like especially like with color scheme. Like I was hugely big on color scheme on that scene, and like I was like, I'm going to go through 3 shades of blue and then 2 shades of like yellow and red, and like that's like I was trying to keep myself to
Mm.
those colors as much as possible. But it's like it's also just really cool to mess around with like the physics and stuff. Like um, you make objects like reflective and metallic, and you can morph them and you can make them all like gooey, and then weird things start happening. It's experimenting. I go on every day, and there's a great guy. I can't remember his name. He's on Instagram. He was on he was on the Corridor Crew once.
Bebo,
He,
right? Bebo? Is it
yeah,
Bebo?
he posts an Instagram art piece every day, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I think what he said is that when he starts something he doesn't know what he's doing. He just messes around, and that's exactly what I do. Is that I open up Blender every day and I don't have a plan. I don't have any sort of concept. I just go nuts. I let myself free, and it's like painting in a sense when, um, it's like some artists when they paint, they don't actually know what they're painting. They kind of just let their hand or they let their like mind
Mm.
just and amazing artists and some of the most famous art pieces sold um, have been pieces that weren't even necessarily planned. They just were like um, experimented on and I think there was one great painting. I can't remember what it was called. It's in a movie called like Ex Machina, and it's just a bunch of squiggled paint lines. He's just whipped on the thing, and it's like one of the things I saw is like uh, it's not what you see on the painting; it's what you don't see. And it's the same with things like uh, Van Gogh's Starry Night, for example. It's
Yeah.
like that painting wasn't if you look at the painting, you go, oh, it's really beautiful. It's like, this is what he saw and stuff. It's like, no, that's not what he saw. It's what he didn't see. He was painting what he didn't see, because that's not how stars in the sky looks. We wish they looked like that, and that's the thing. He painted it because he didn't see that.
I think
Because
that's I think that's a really beautiful way of putting it. Like
yeah,
I hadn't really thought of that. That something like Starry Night by Van Gogh. It's not he's painting what's in his head.
yeah,
It's not what is there.
yeah, yeah,
I just want to touch on the point where I think it's also very beautiful that the way that you approach making new art is just to simply just kind of like see where it goes.
yeah,
And I think it's very valuable to kind of cultivate that practice. But in my view, it has to be backed up by like formal training. It's like you can only go so far without knowing what you're doing. It's like you have to be open maybe for the first 10 minutes, and then like once you start to hone that and start to
yeah,
make that into a picture, that's where the discipline and the actual training comes in. And so it's like a mixture of both creativity, so that's like spontaneity, but also discipline. And
yeah.
I think you're doing well to cultivate that.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true, because as well, like, yeah, I'll start off not having a clue of what I'm doing, but then I get in like the first 10 minutes, and once I got like a basic structure, I go, wait a minute, I know what I'm gonna do
Yeah.
with this, and then I start building. Like, the other day, I had like an isosphere, and then I was like, oh, what do I want to do with this? I made it metallic, and I was like, I don't know what I should do with it. Maybe I should like put lights around it, make the lights reflect. So I went, oh, well, let me try to use the wireframe tool. So I wireframed it, and it became like all the faces disappeared, but the structure, like the vertex, is all there. I went, ooh, why don't I can make like an isosphere, but with like a little light inside? It's like an energy pool, and then it like floats, and the isosphere spins, and all that stuff just comes into me, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. And the good thing is about Blender is it's very hard to learn, but once you learn it, you can't really forget it. So now I don't even have to like. I don't have to think about what I'm actually doing. I already know what. Like, I already go, all right, yeah, click this shortcut, blah blah blah. Like, I probably know it better than Premiere at this point. Like,
Oof. Wow.
yeah, I mean, because I've not really done a lot of editing when it comes to Premiere wise, because I haven't been be able to film a lot, but I am, funnily enough, now working on a new project which will require me to film and stuff, and I don't know when it will be out, but it should be soon, hopefully.
All right. I look forward to checking it out.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, it seems like you're very set on, you made that distinction between, a conventional VFX career, but it seems like you want to it sounds like you just want to forge your own path in terms of, make what you want to make. So, how does that kind of play out? Like, there will, like you said, there will be people that will be like, all right, it's good to do what you want, but like, how do you make a living off that? And I guess that's what my question is, and I think it's probably like people's questions in general.
Well, I feel like when it comes to the good thing about like I said with university, because it's so diverse with what you can do, the different options you have. I can. It's not necessarily. I don't. I love film and I love VFX. So if I got a job for any of those, I'd be very happy. And the thing about VFX that is better than film necessarily is that with VFX you can really practice with 100% of all of the equipment and technology at home. So you could do it as a hobby, because I mean I enjoy it. I've always said this though, like, well, it is like I said, it's I'd like to be happy. And when I do film and
I think
VFX,
most people would like to be happy.
yeah, yeah, so yeah, but like it's just I feel like I think it's just down to I want to work somewhere not where I would get famous, but where I would have the most fun, in the sense that, for example, I was talking to one of the founders of Aardman, the animation company.
I haven't heard of them.
He was they made shows like Wallace and Gromit and
Oh, okay.
Sheep and all that. And he was doing a talk in our university, and he was talking about back. He was like back in the good old days. Um, and he was talking about like when there's this character in the UK. It was most people in the UK would know this character. I actually forgot his name. Oh no, Morph. That's it. His name is Morph, and he's like a little clay person, and he would like morph into different things and stuff. And it was like on TV in the 80s or early 90s. Like my parents knew Morph, and the guy I was talking to was the guy who designed Morph and animated him. But
Wow.
he said back then it was just a team of 5 of us, and we would go in every morning, work in it, have fun, mess around, make the animations. As soon as it hit 5 o'clock, we went out, got some drinks, had a good night, woke up next morning, did the same thing. But it was all fun because we were all lads and mates, and we all did it because we enjoyed it, and we had so much to talk about. And I was like, that's the type of job I want. I want to go into I don't want to go into some large, massive industry, or like I don't want to just be put into like what's it a pin in a haystack kind of situation where I'm just like thrown and I'll never be found. I want to build something up where I'm in a smaller group, so I have more of an impact. If you know
Mm.
what I mean? Because if I go into a big company like Industrial Light and Magic, even like a games company where they want animations, I'll probably be responsible for like the tiniest things,
Yeah.
the lighting, physics, or the fabric, or just things like that. But I want to have more of an impact where I
Yeah.
actually designed the entire environment, or I actually was responsible for all of, like the lighting and colors and stuff like that. And
Mm.
so I feel like maybe working in a group, like I said, it's not about the fame. It's just about I want when I look back on that work, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm responsible for that little bit there. No, I want to be like,
Mm.
I actually had an impact on this product. I did something that no one else could have like they couldn't just replace me with someone else, because if it's a small bit then they get someone else to do it and that's fine, but I want to be able
Yeah.
to go like I want to do like things my own way. I was watching because Blender, they have an animation team and they're actually making a full length animated film using Blender, like the first made animated film. um and they did a short film called Spring. And there's like they're doing a tour in their office when they're developing Spring, and it's like literally only like 3 people working on this like 7 minute fully animated like super high quality film. And I was just going like, there's like 3 or 4 guys working on it, and there's definitely more. There's probably like 30 people working on it. But it's just the fact that like this guy is like literally designing the forest that she walks in, and like
Mm-hmm.
doing the leaves and like doing the ground and everything. And I was just kind of like, man, that must be like, to me, like we have all our different interests, but to me, that's such a cool job. That's such a cool
Yeah.
job to like have you. And then that video is then shown around the world on the internet and stuff, and people can see it, and in the credits they can tell that you did that. While if I'm responsible for something tiny, I don't really have that. I don't feel like I'm as proud of the product because I go, well, it wasn't really me. It was like so many different people, and I'm just that one
But
guy did a little bit. So
to
it's like,
play devil's advocate a bit, I guess from the studio's point of view, it's like if you have this one guy that's only responsible for the leaves. I mean, their point of view is that you know it's going to be a better product if everyone
yeah,
if there's 10 things and one person focuses on one thing individually. It's going to be
you're gonna,
a better end product.
yeah, yeah, definitely. You're gonna like if you get one person to focus on leaves, and one person to focus on the entire environment, you're gonna get some pretty good, like goddamn looking tree leaves compared to the guy doing the whole environment. Like,
But
yeah,
I guess the problem would be is like when it comes to something like this, is trying to kind of get that sense of continuity between all these elements is really difficult.
hmm
Just because of the fact that there are so many um, different elements. So I wanted to ask you, how do you? I mean, I think the idea that you pointed out is beautiful, and just hearing your passion about it is really quite like infectious, I guess. But like, how do you see yourself getting into that sort of position where you are in a small team and you are able to, have an opinion and see like a creative impact on whatever it is that you're making? Do you have any ideas?
like, do you mean any ideas how to get to that point? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Um, I think making contacts is a big part of that. I feel like getting to know people. Funny enough, I do a digital effects course at uni, and no one uses Blender or no one knows what the hell Blender is. In fact, most of them there just want to learn how to move, like to use keyframes on After Effects. That's the entire course. It's
Oh my
so
god,
it's so annoying.
that hurts me.
It's like oh yeah, you use a keyframe and then okay, now do something with that. Like there's like I'm only getting like some half of like the digital effects finals that I saw were like a bunch of squares like moving across the screen like because they're trying to be like artistic or like Picasso styled or something. And they're literally like teaching you like not even teaching the oh if you want to track something just press yeah, that's visual effects like sums up. But no, I managed to find someone because I said screw After Effects. I'm using Blender. My lecturer was like, "Well, we don't teach Blender." I was like, "I don't care. I'll teach myself." And then he was like, "Okay." Funny enough, I learned more teaching myself about Blender than I did about After Effects at uni. So that tells you something. But a the one of the other guys, there's one guy in my class who started using Blender, and I was like, oh my god! Because I only saw it because he has a sheet of what software we're using for our projects, and I was like After Effects, After Effects, After Effects, and then mine Blender, and then in After Effects, and then there's one guy that went Blender as well. I was like, I need to call this guy, and I like
Hmm.
messaged him, and I was like, yo, you're using Blender too? Please, like, we should collab or something. And he's like, yeah. I'm getting a new PC soon, so I should be able to use it, but like more frequently. Um,
I, I still want to ask, like, what I mean. I guess what confuses me is what sort of benefit do you still find in this university course? It sounds like a lot of your personal growth in terms of creativity is very self motivated.
I feel it's I'm gonna like say three things that keeps me here is that one, I'm kind of I mean, good thing about university as well is it well, it, they haven't really taught me much, but they they'll get me to a position where they're able to help me find a career, as in. I feel they basically universities in the UK. I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but in the UK for sure when you graduate, they have people in the university to basically go, okay, we're going to help you find a job, help you look for companies. And I think my university, it's like a 97% success rate for people finding careers after uni, like straight after, which is great. Only problem with that is that they're basically the university's like got ties with the BBC and stuff, like the BBC funds them. So when people want to get hired, they go, oh yeah, there's places in the BBC you can work in, and then they get some stupid office job or something. But no, there's that, but it's also like I said, the like diverse things that you can do and learn at university in the sense that like you can you can choose to go into documentary making or you can go into what? But also, yeah, I was gonna say, with that point is that it gives me a platform to film on in the sense that like I don't have to go out looking for like six people to do jobs that they don't want to
Mm.
do. I have all the people there. I've got all the like the support, the help with like renting out streets and stuff. And it's just basically you're being because it's very for me I find it very hard to just out of my own pocket or out of my own like sigma just go let's make a movie because it's not as easy as just saying that like you got to get all that done like all the stuff done and everything but if you're university you're kind of like forced to do it you have to do it, it's your course so it gives us more of a planned out motive to actually go and make films well a film for the year um, and then that film also gets placed into film festivals, which would be nice to get seen. But also the third reason is the social life. I enjoy my friends I've made at uni. I enjoy the nights out we have. I enjoy like going to class and messing around. It's kind of like school in a sense. And I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Even though I don't think I've learned much at uni, same time I don't think I'll be doing anything really better with my time if I wasn't in uni at this point.
Mm.
And so I feel like it's the safe as a safest option, being at uni is definitely like up there, like for being safe. Because at the
Well,
end of the day,
yeah.
I don't feel like I would have done. as successful if I didn't go to university. If that makes any
It's,
sense.
it seems like you thought this through, and I for one respect that, because there are a lot of people that seems like they're just floating through university.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
to see that you're still doing it, but still like kind of cultivating your talent in terms of using Blender and
Mm,
trying to cultivate your creativity. I think that's a very important thing to do simultaneously.
yeah. I mean, like I meet people in my classes and stuff, and they're like, so like, what do you want to do? Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, what are you interested? And they're like, I don't know. Like, okay, well, do you want to like be audio? I guess I don't mind it. I'm like, okay. And it's like, what do you want to do like when you go into your career? I mean, I don't mind using audio. Audio is pretty cool, I guess. And it's like they have no, like literally floats. Sometimes, I'm not saying it is true, but sometimes it feels like some of these people are only there because they just wanted to get into university and have a unique degree in some sense. I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
everybody. It's only a very small group of people that I know, but it's like it's not necessarily a problem. It's just that like if I get put in a group with one of these people, it's an absolute nightmare to get them to do anything.
Yeah.
And like that's where my angry director voice comes out, and I got told off once because apparently I was too mean once, and I wasn't being mean. I just said I was director of a thing, and I told them I liked. We had to come up with a teaser trailer. I liked the teaser trailer, but I wanted some shots switched around because I thought it just made more sense to the story. Um, and they were a bit upset with that comment, and I don't know why. And I got told off. And
Mm.
my teacher was like, "We're a team effort. We're all responsible for this film." And I said, "Yes, but as director, I'm kind of like the composer, where I can't do this film by myself. No, but I'm also here to help and guide and support all my team members." And at the end of the day, I did come up with the story and the whole concept because they were too late. We're all supposed to. Everybody in the group is supposed to come up with the idea or story. Each person gets an idea, and we came in that one day, and I was like, all right, guys, I got my idea. How about your ideas? And they were like, we didn't write any ideas down. I had like a full like 12 page presentation ready. Like I was gonna present it to the entire class because I thought that was what we were supposed to do, but we weren't. And, like I had everything down. It was so perfectly prepared. And so when the teacher came around, our lecturer came around, she was like, um, "Hey, so have you guys got an idea? Or have you guys chosen?" They just all pointed at me like, "Yeah, Jacob's director. His
Mm.
idea is great." And she's like, "Okay, cool, cool." And
It's
that's
yeah.
what annoyed me because I had all this perfect idea and planning and stuff, and then like halfway through the project that we're making, they're like, let's make some big changes. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind you putting your own additions to the story. That's fine. But they want to make super big changes where I'm like, okay, that's not really my story anymore. It's completely different from what I had originally. But but I found it was fine. We didn't ever get to make
Mm.
it though because of COVID because it got cancelled, which is annoying.
Mm.
Um,
It's kind of funny though, and like at least I went into university thinking I didn't have to deal with those kinds of situations, and that everyone would be mature, and it's like nope,
yeah, no, no.
no,
They're
still,
literally. It's funny. They're all literally. Some of them are like it feels like they just are fresh out of school in a sense like we are
yeah.
all fresh out of school but like they are like they think they're going to school 2.0 if that makes
Mm.
sense and they
Mm.
and yeah, but like that was the annoying thing as well we had this one guy and because I'm complimenting him I'm going to say his name. His name is James. uh great writer, great writer, and he works so hard on getting this script for this film done. And I was trying to be as supportive as possible. He's amazing. And the annoying thing about COVID, right, is we have to get our films greenlit. It took us,
Yeah.
it must have been 4 to 5 months, I think, 4 to 5 months of trying to get this script greenlit. And we'd go back to our lecturer, please greenlight it. She'll go, no, change this bit. We'll go back. She wanted us to change it again. And it was literally months. I'm only getting months of just complete, like, no, no, no. And then one day, I think it was in February, she goes, "Okay, I'll green light it. It's good now. I like it now." But like, really? We only changed like one line the last time we changed it, and that's it. She's like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll green light it." We're like, "Yes." I literally, as I get home to my flatmates sitting in the living room. I'm like, boys, we're going out tonight. We're celebrating, we're getting beers. We've got our film greenlit. Let's celebrate. And as soon as I walk out the door, well, as we walk out the door, I get an email going, all filming has been cancelled for all projects because of COVID. And I'm like, I was, like, I was literally screaming like, no!
Yeah.
I was literally, I felt, actually, I think I did cry. I cried because I was like, this is like, we've been trying to have a baby for so long and now it's so dead. I was like, I was so upset. I was so upset. And then everybody, like, it was funny because you could tell the people who actually liked doing it were really upset about it. But some of the not flatmates, some of the people in the group, like, on Messenger were just kind of like, well, I guess I'll see you guys next year then. Like, like, I guess uni's over then. Okay. I was like, but nah, it was. I got a first for it though, because they marked us based on our like pre-production, and because we were so like heavily pre-production, like months and months of pre-production, they were like, yeah, you get a good grade for that. So I got a first, which was nice.
Yeah, that must be a bit frustrating though, in terms of like projects that you want to pursue, because I don't think I'd be happy with like this one lecturer not liking what I do. I feel like my first reaction is like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Yeah, no, it was like that. She like pulled me over. She was like, I've had a few complaints about your directing methods. I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to make a film. She's like, I've been working in the industry, like directors, you know, they're supposed to be chill. And I'm like, yeah, I was chill. She's like, yeah, but you said you didn't like someone's work. I said, well, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said I would rather that piece of work on that part of the film rather than this part of the film. And they disagreed with me, and I just said, well, okay, but at the end of the day, I'm directing, and this is the story that I came up with. So, like, I mean, you could take this up the lecture. I don't know. Yeah, you left our group, and then I had to become editor as well. So I was not only acting in it because our actors were so like that's the most annoying thing is actors are the most unreliable people I've ever met. I'm not lying. They're so unreliable because you'd be like, this date, this time, this like completely everything here, and every single time just like, oh no, I can't make it, or I'm gonna be late, or I had one guy who was uh that was applying for the role, really lovely guy, and he was so on time, and he put me in a group chat with a bunch of different actors, and he was like, oh yeah, they're all cool, they're all available, blah blah blah, and they're all there on the group chat going, yeah, we'll love to act in one of your films, blah blah blah. And I said, okay, we're doing auditions in like 2 weeks time, can you all like be there, and we'll like do it all the same time so we get the same lines and stuff. And they're all like, yeah, that's brilliant. Literally about like 5 minutes before they were supposed to be there, like a bunch of messages on that group chat from everybody going, yeah, we're not going to be able to make it. I was just like, God. And that one guy that was really good did come, and he was like, oh, really sorry, but yeah, they all said no. So,
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they're all students, right? Which, I mean,
pretty much.
There's pros and cons to that. I think, like what you said about one of the reasons you are in university is for the community. And I, for one thing, think it's really cool that if you want to make a film, all the talent and everything you have is in this community. And, I guess that is what makes networking and, keeping in touch with people really important. Because it's really cool. I mean, just hearing it from your end.
I mean, yeah, that's the good thing about living in Bath as well, because it's a uni town. It's a population of 80,000 people, and 25,000 of those people are students. So it's like, and the entire economy of this town is based on students, really. So you're gonna meet every single amount of people. I'm not kidding. The amount of people I've met who I've worked with, mostly, I've met them through like clubs. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'll be in the smoking area of a club, and this guy we talk about, he's an acting student and stuff, and this is how I got one of my main actors for one of my films. And I just like went up behind him and was like, I heard you're an actor. It was like kind of like in a film, in a sense, in movies when people are like overhear someone talking, they go up to them to try and like find out more. It was literally like that. I'm like slowly getting closer, like listening and going, oh, he's an actor. Oh, he's Irish. Oh, he's perfect. So like,
wow.
And I just like, yeah, your Instagram. And then like the next morning, you're like really like, oh god. And then you're like on your phone, you go, who's this person I added on last night? And I'll be like, oh, my name's Ben. You asked me to be in your film last night. It's like, oh, completely forgot about that, but okay, I've got a free actor. Lovely. But no, yeah, it's a good community, especially a very good community for that type of stuff. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's just I wish the film course itself had more funding because I think it's definitely underfunded. But um,
Mm.
at the same, and also like they don't give you any incentive to take out equipment. That's one thing. I would use more of the university's equipment, but they don't give you any incentive to do it because it's so painfully difficult to rent it out because they'll request like they go, okay, where are you filming? That's fine. Where's the nearest hospital? Where's the nearest police station? Can you give us all the contacts of your family members? What blood type are you? What all these bits of information, and it goes on for miles and miles. And I understand that in the film industry, it's going to be like that, yes. But I mean, it's not going to be like that. Like, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, I need your father's phone number. Like when you rent out a camera or your blood type. It's going to be based on like your location, what time, and how long you want it for. And
Mm.
it's like, but and that's fine doing that. I can sign that contract or whatever, and I'll like do I don't know insurance or something. I don't know, but they want like all my blood types and stuff, and like my the name of my first cat. It's like I'm not gonna. It's not worth it. So I always say to groups when we get in the groups, I'm like, just let you guys know, we're using my camera. We're not renting stuff out because it just takes too much time. It really does, and then it also
Yeah.
takes like a week to process. So it's like you're
Mm.
wasting time. Um,
Yeah. It's not
and
like DC where you just go into the room and like, Mr. Jadeja, can I just take this? Thanks.
I remember when Nasri broke his drone. I
Oh
was
my
I
god.
was flying it and I was flying it really well, and like because I know how to fly a drone, and then Nasri's like, "Can I try?" I'm like, okay, fine." Literally, he has it for like 5 seconds. It just goes into the fence. I'm just like, no. To be fair, I also kind of broke Jadeja's drone as well because I took it to the desert, and drones don't really work well with sand. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
gets in everywhere, and the rutches start to like faulty and stuff. It's a bit annoying.
You need to be very careful with that. I kind of suffer from that, but not with the really expensive drone, just with like a tiny little one.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Um, it's almost been an hour and a half, and I think it's probably a good place to round off our conversation.
Cool.
I really enjoyed this, to be honest. Like it's always really nice just to sit down with someone I haven't talked to in a while, and it's like it's really cool to see what people have been up to, and you yourself. I mean, I really admire that. You have this kind of mature outlook on university, but also you're pursuing your passion in a very it's a balance, like what I said, balance between being creative about it, but also being disciplined about like approaching different skills and learning new skills, especially something as technical as VFX. And for
Yeah.
what it's worth, like again, like I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of just how you progress as an artist, but also just as a person. I think you could, with the kind of passion, with the kind of discipline that you have, it's you know I mean, of course, take this with a grain of salt. I'm like literally the same age as you. I'm not some sort of like sage giving you wisdom, but I think from my point of view, you have what it takes to succeed. And I for one like really admire that.
Oh,
And
thank you
like,
so much. I mean, I was looking at the podcast. I was like, it's the same feeling where I was going like, seeing all these people I haven't seen like years ago. Like, oh my god, what the hell? I haven't talked to these people in so long. But obviously, I talked to Nick quite a bit, so I saw Nick's one. I was like, I was like, I need to get on this.
yeah. All right, bro. Any last thoughts before we close off?
Last thoughts. Well, I just like to let everybody know I mean, if anyone likes to talk and know how I'm doing, you know where to find me. If anyone's feeling like, obviously during COVID, if they're going through hard stuff, just, we gotta hang in there. It'll eventually,
Mm.
it'll eventually be taken care of. Um, I got new stuff being worked on. I got a few, I'm making a project by myself, and it's gonna be like my next biggest like thing since Mercenary, if anyone remembers that. With Farah to be thrown by
Yeah.
jet.
If people want to check out your work, is it just Jacob Gay on Instagram?
Yeah, it's my my Instagram is I'm trying to think now what it's called because like I don't remember. My YouTube channel is Jacob Gay. It's just my name.
All right.
And I believe with my Instagram it's just Jacob and then loads of M's. You'll see it like.
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's check me out, and I hope you enjoy some of the stuff I do in the future. And thank you very much for having me.
Anytime. I think it's funny that we pretend like the amount of people that will get to the end of this episode. I don't know how many there would be, maybe like 2 or 3, but if you've gotten to the end, then cool. If you haven't, it's fine. Alright, bro. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope everything goes well for you.